Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio from Boise, Idaho. This is your host, Adam Graham. In a moment, we're going to bring you this week's episode of Mr. and Mrs. North. I do want to encourage you, if you enjoy the podcast, to follow us using your favorite podcast software. But now I want to talk a little bit about Molly B's. Friends, you've had cookies before, but not like this. Molly B's gourmet cookies are the kind of cookies you'll be talking about long after the last crumb. We're talking flavors like straight fire with marshmallows, milk chocolate, and a kick of cinnamon whiskey. Or the tropical escape of pina coladas with coconut, white chocolate, and fruity pebbles. These aren't just snacks, they're experiences. Each cookie is handcrafted in small batches, so every bite is a melt-in-your-mouth masterpiece. Whether you're gifting them or keeping them for yourself, these cookies elevate the moment. Now, I've lined up something special for you. Go to mollybz.com. That's mollybz.com and use the code BOX13 at checkout to get a 10% discount on your order. And yes, I'll earn a commission when you use my code. So you're not just treating yourself, you're helping support the show. So don't wait. These cookies are the ultimate treat for anyone with taste buds. That's mollybz.com, code BOX13. Now, from March the 7th, 1950, here is Dime a Dance.
Mr. and Mrs. North, starring Joseph Curtin and Alice Frost. All sorts of people are going around making all sorts of surveys about the habits of the American male and female. If they ever questioned Pam and Jerry North, they'd learn something that would make their hair stand on end. For instance, in the morning, Jerry prefers regaining consciousness by degrees. But Pam, on the other hand, hold on to your pencil, Dr. Kinsey, Pam is as gay, fresh, and romantic as a lark.
I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful guy. Da-da-da.
Pamela, you are not Mary Martin, and I am not Ezio Pinza, so will you do me a favor? Don't be so gay until I've had my first cup of coffee.
Anything, my sweet. Oh, I'm sorry. You're male, dear. Now drink your coffee. I'm in love, I'm in love.
Pam, please. Here's a letter for you. Maybe you'd like to read it, dear, while I have my coffee.
Oh, thanks, dear. Dear Mrs. North, you don't know me, but I'm the type of woman who believes in calling a spade a spade. And our Jerry...
Who's it from, dear?
My mother, you beast.
What would I say?
Oh, nothing. Jerry met me at the Rumba Taxi Dance Hall, where I'm trying to make an honest buck as a dime a dance hostess. After 20 cents worth with Jerry, I know it's love, and it's mutual.
What's your mother write, dear?
She's taken up the rumba, you... I think you and I ought to sit down and discuss it like civilized people so that we can dispense with Jerry to our mutual satisfaction. Yours sincerely, Honey Jones. Well,
let me see the letter.
Oh, no, you don't.
Where are you going?
Do I ask you where you've been? Will you tell me you're working late at the office?
Pam, where are you going?
I'm maybe going home to Mother's.
Pam, come back here. Is that you, darling?
No, it's me, sweetheart. Your missus just took the elevator. I'm glad for the chance of having you all to myself.
Who are you?
Tony Jones. You recognize the name?
No, and what do you mean coming...
Does honey mean anything to you?
I never touched the stuff.
What you call honey stuff, wise guy. She's my wife.
Listen, my name is Jerry...
North. North. I know. Bad enough, my wife working at a taxi dance hall. But I ain't going to stand for customers getting fresh with her. That I ain't going to stand for.
I tell you, Mr. Jones, I've never...
Shut up and listen. If I find out that you've been seeing her again, I'll kill you with my own bare hands. Now stand up.
What for?
Because I want to knock you down.
That's the name on the door, isn't it? Your name's going to be Mud when I get through with you.
Oh, you must be Mrs. North. Won't you come in, dear?
Don't you dare me, you Jezebel.
The name's Honey. Come on in.
Oh,
I'm kind of disappointed that Jerry didn't come along with you.
why? So you could both laugh in my face?
Oh, you've been seeing too many movies. Listen, why don't you call him up and tell him to come over? So we can talk it over cozy.
Oh, no. After all he's done, seeing you when he says he's working late.
Now, wait, Mrs. North. I might as well tell you. Your husband and I, we don't mean a thing to each other. It's all a joke.
Oh, that's a likely story.
Honest. I've been writing a book about my experiences. It's a great book.
Oh, that's an old line if I ever heard one. Come up and see my manuscript sometime.
That's the truth, Mrs. North. I've been trying to see Mr. North at his office, but I couldn't get past his secretary.
Oh,
that's why I wrote you that letter. I was sure it would bring you and Mr. North a running. Then I'd be able to give him my manuscript. It's a wonderful story, all about my experiences. Wait, I got it right here in my desk. Right? Was right here.
Oh, it was.
I tell you, it was. I'm sure I had it. Sure. Gone. Someone's stolen it. Oh, what am I going to do?
Well, that's easy. Make up another story.
Oh, fool, get out of here. I've got to find out who took it.
Stop acting with me, honey.
Does this convince you that I'm not acting, Mrs. North?
You can put away that gun, honey. I'm going.
Hop in, lady. Where to?
Home.
All right. How many guesses do I get?
Maybe she's telling the truth.
Oh.
And then well, go ahead. What are you standing here for? Take me home. No, hold it.
What's the matter?
That's my husband. He's going into the building. Oh, take me away from here.
Well, will you tell me for the last time where your home is?
Who said anything about taking me home? Take me to police headquarters.
No, Mrs. North, don't carry on so.
Well, why shouldn't I, Mullins? I've every right to. Going into her building and in broad daylight.
Well, now, there might be a very simple explanation to it, Mrs. North.
Yes, of course there is. He's going up there to see Honey. Mullins, where have I failed as a wife? You tell me.
Oh, you haven't, Mrs. North. You've been a sweet, devoted help.
Oh,
no, there, Mrs. North, please don't carry on.
Sure, it's easy for you to say there. You're not in love with Jerry.
Here, now, take a sip of this coffee while I answer the telephone. Sergeant Mullins, homicide.
Mullins, this is Jerry North.
Oh, Mr. North. It's your husband, Mrs. North.
Oh, let me at that
Hold on, now,
phone.
Mrs. North. You get your chance. Well, Mr. North, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. For finding a woman like Mrs. North, you won't telephone to her.
Mullins, listen to me. I'm over at a girl's house. Her name's Honey Jones.
Oh, have you no shame, man?
Mullins, I'm trying to tell you something.
You sure got a lot of explaining to do, Mr. North. Honey Jones, indeed.
That's the name, Mullins. Get over here as fast as you can. She's been shot to death.
That's all there is to tell, Mullins. After that gorilla Tony slugged me, I wanted to find out what it was all about. I looked up Honey's name, came here, and found her lying across a bed.
Tell us the truth, Jerry. We'll stick by you. I'm a woman, the woman you once loved. I'll forgive you.
Oh, for goodness sake, Pam, stop behaving like Joan Crawford.
Well, it all seems to tie together with what you told us about that book business, Mrs. North.
Oh, I hope for Jerry's sake that you're right, Mullins.
Ah, Mrs. North, I might as well tell you now. Mr. North is a darling boy, and so far as I'm concerned, he's not under suspicion at all.
Oh, Jerry, darling, I'm so happy for you.
Now she's Betty Davis.
Now, if this Tony fellow was out avenging his wife's dubious honor, I wonder where we could find her men friends.
The Rumba Taxi Dance Hall.
Mullins, if I could get a job as a hostess at the Rumba Dance Palace, I might be able to get some information from the other girls as to where we could find Honey's husband.
I absolutely forbid it. Let the police worry about the murderer.
10 cents a dance, big boy. Come on, handsome. Buy the little girl a fistful of tickets.
Now, Pam.
Good idea, Mrs. North.
I absolutely forbid my wife to enter one of those places.
Forget your wife, big boy. You're talking to Cuddles now. She'll make you forget.
Not bad, Cuddles. Not bad. Turn around again.
Well, do I get the job, Mr. Snarks?
The girls all call me Eric. Hey, you fill out that evening gown pretty good.
Thank you, kind sir.
Come here, baby. Let's try a little dance together.
There's no music.
Who needs it? We can make beautiful music together.
Oh, you fresh.
Oh, the little girl is blushing. Well, you'll loosen up later. Look, baby, let me give you a couple of pointers. First of all, keep your eyes and ears open.
What do you mean?
When a guy's dancing with you, just let him talk. And remember what he says.
What guy?
Any guy, Cuddles. You never know what you can learn about a guy. What's the old expression? Knowledge is power.
I think I understand, Eric.
You and I'll get along, baby. Feel free to come into my office anytime, and we can talk.
I'll do that little thing. Honey said you were a regular guy.
Honey? What do you know about Honey?
Well, go my arm. You hurt me. What's the matter with you?
Oh, you're a friend of Honey's, huh? Well, I shouldn't hold that against you.
What does she do?
Nothing. But she ain't the type of girl I like working in my place. I fired her.
Well, that's funny. I saw her this morning, and she said she was coming to work tonight.
She was here tonight.
She was here tonight?
Sure. She left a few minutes before you came in.
Well, I think I better be getting out on the floor.
Wait a minute. I ain't letting you go yet.
What's the matter? What did I do?
You didn't do nothing. I just want you to have a drink.
Oh,
I keep my good stuff under lock and key.
I see. What's that?
Scotch.
No, that blue-covered thing.
It's nothing.
Looks like a book somebody's been writing. You a writer, Eric?
Have your drink.
Some of my best friends are writers.
Good luck, Cuddles.
Honey once told me she was writing.
Take it down and get out of here.
Well, you only live once.
Yeah. Just remember that, Cuddles. Just remember that.
Mullins, I can't stand it. Look at those men ogling us.
Take it easy, Mr. North. Mrs. North's doing fine.
Yeah.
I've got a hunch we'll find the murderer here yet. Just as easy as finding out things by setting the suspects up against the wall. At least we know now where Honey's manuscript is.
Well, why don't we arrest this Eric character and get it over with? He lied when he told Pam Honey was here tonight.
Be patient. We will, Mr. North.
I really believe you're enjoying this.
Oh, now don't be silly, Mr. North. It's all in the light of duty. I'll tell you what will turn up. My, what lovely girl.
Huh?
That little one with a black dress, she's built.
Listen, brother, she happens
My friend here don't like this place. He wants to leave.
Well, I can hardly blame him. He's the quiet type, like myself. This is the first time I've been up here. It's a way of keeping out of the rain.
Haven't I seen you someplace before, Mr.
Hornswigger is the name. It's not very likely you have seen me before, unless, of course, you've been in Connecticut, and that's where I'm from.
Yes, sir.
Oh, dear me.
What's the matter, Miss Hornswigger?
Nothing.
Well, I was wondering. You said, oh, dear me.
Well, I was just looking the girls over.
You see anyone you like?
And not tonight.
There was a beauty over here a couple of nights ago, about 5'2", with eyes of blue and golden hair the color of honey. As a matter of fact, her name was Honey. You'd like her.
Yes, I know. But where is she tonight?
Oh, you know her.
Well, I danced with her once. A charming girl.
I thought you said you were never up here before.
Oh, dear me, did I say that? Excuse me, gentlemen. I'm going over to the bar and have a drink.
What do you think, Mullins?
I think he's worth investigating, Mr. North.
Hello, Mullins. Have you found out anything yet?
Well, not about the murder, Mrs. North, but you see the man going over to the bar? His name's Hornswinger. Get him to dance with you. Find out anything you can.
Well, I'll try, Mullins.
I absolutely forbid it.
I danced with him myself. I had to see you. Now, listen, Mr. Broadway.
Hiya, handsome.
Go away, little girl. I'm not interested in dancing.
Come on, handsome. Be a little sociable.
Will you please stop bothering me?
Oh, you're the frigid kind, aren't you? That ain't the way Honey said you were.
What? Oh. Shall we dance?
Delighted.
What do you know about Honey?
I'm only her best friend. That's what I know about Honey. Say, you dance divine.
Your name, miss?
They call me Cuddles. Because I like to cuddle up when I dance. Like this. You like it?
Dear me.
Have you seen Honey lately?
No, I haven't.
Are you expecting her up here?
No, not particularly. That is, I was.
She won't be here tonight, you know. You don't seem surprised.
Other fish in the sea, you know.
Oh, thank you, sir. Still, Honey was in a class by herself.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, she wasn't like us girls. She was more the intellectual type. Well, you know, she even wrote a book. Mr. Hornswigger, don't hold me so tight. You're hurting me.
Oh, dear, I am sorry. What do you know about the book?
What do I know about it? What does Sears know about robots? I practically helped her with it.
Oh, now, listen to me, my dear. I pay a lot of money to get a hold of that manuscript.
Say you are a cultured type man, ain't you? But you don't have to worry no more, Mrs. Hornswigger. She can't blackmail you no more. You know why? Because someone killed her.
Huh?
Careful, Mr. Hornswigger. You stepped on my toe.
Dear me, what were you
I
saying?
was saying that she...
Never mind. I heard you. When did it happen?
It happened this morning. You ought to know.
I don't feel like dancing anymore, Cuddles. Will you excuse me?
I wouldn't try to leave this place if I were you, Mr. Hornswigger. That gentleman over there is my husband, and the other one is from the police.
Oh, dear me, I think I'm going to run.
Oh, you can't do that. Jerry. Mullins.
What's the matter, Pam?
Jerry. He fainted right in my arms. I told him about Honey's being murdered.
Good girl.
Here, put his arm around me.
Right.
Take him into the lounge. Come along now, Mr. Hornswinger. I'm surprised.
Jerry, I think Mr. Hornswigger could have done it. Honey was blackmailing him.
Come on, let's tell Mullins. And then I'm getting you out of here.
Oh, Jerry, not yet. Maybe it wasn't Mr. Hornswigger at all.
What you just said.
Well, I know, but her husband could have done it because he's jealous. Eric could have done it because he just looks mean. And then there's Mr. Hornswigger.
Here's the lounge. Mullins. Mullins.
Mullins. Jerry, look.
He's unconscious.
Mr. Hornswigger is gone. Are you all right, Mullins?
Of course I'm not all right. What a deceitful little man. Wait till I get my hands on him.
What happened, Mullins?
I laid him down on the couch and turned him back to get him a glass of water, and he must have slugged me. Oh, the shame of it, a little runt like that.
Hey, Mullins, where are you going?
Outside, I'm going to find out if anyone saw him leave.
Poor Mullins. Jerry, look, the window's open.
There's a ledge running all around the building.
Let's see where it leads to, darling. It may lead us to the murderer.
It's going to lead us into trouble.
Hey, Pam, get off that ledge.
Jerry, there's a window about 10 feet to the right of me.
All right, steady now. I'll go with you.
Oh, makes me dizzy if I look down.
For goodness sake, don't look. Walk slowly and hug the side of the building. The way you hugged your dance customers all night.
This is no time for you to be jealous. Oh, be quiet, darling. Come into the window. Maybe somebody in that room. Jerry, it's Eric's office.
And there is somebody in there. There's Mr. Hornswigger stretched out on the rug.
You don't think he's dead yet?
I think we'll be if we stay on this ledge much longer. Let's see if this window will open. Good. Hop in, Pam.
Easy, Jerry. There's blood on Mr. Hornswigger's head.
Still breathing.
What's the idea of coming into my office,
Eric.
Who are you, mister?
I'll tell you who I am.
He's a customer, Eric.
My office is off limits to customers. Now beat it.
Not until we call the police. There's a telephone on his desk, Pam.
I thought the name was Cuddles.
That's enough of that. She's my wife, Mr. Snark, and my name's North.
I thought there was something phony about you, Cuddles. Who are you, and what do you want?
We don't want very much, Mr. Snark. All we want is to find out who murdered Honey and why you did it.
Oh, ain't you the cute one?
Her manuscript is in that desk, Jerry.
Well, we'll take a little
No,
look.
you won't, mister. Not even a peep. I ain't running no circulating library. But I am going to turn this office into a shooting gallery if you don't stand where you are.
Careful, he's got a gun.
I'm hardly breathing.
I can put a stop to that, too. Who's that other guy that was with you, mister?
That's the police.
The police? You really fouled me up. Now I lose my license. All right, you can relax, Nord. I'm putting the gun away. I thought I could keep it quiet, but it's too late now. You can get on that phone and call the police.
You mean you're confessing?
What kind of a jerk do you take me for? I didn't do it.
You stole her manuscript from her.
Sure, I wanted to read it. I find out she's running a little blackmail racket on the side. I told her if she didn't cut it out, I'd mess her up real good. I got to protect my customers.
You've got a novel way of protecting your customers, Mr. Snark.
Oh, you mean Hornswigger?
Uh-huh.
Well, what would you do, Mr. North, if some wild-eyed little jerk comes jumping through your window and accuses you of blackmailing him? Who's there?
It must be Sergeant Mullins. Come in, Mullins.
Tony.
My glad to see you.
Who is he, Jerry?
Honey's husband. He's the one who hit me.
I remember when I was in high school, Eric, we used to sing a song. There was something about the punishment fitting the crime. You played around with Honey, Mr. North, so I hit you. But you, Eric, you murdered her. So what you're getting is going to fit the crime perfect.
You're crazy, Tony. I didn't do it. Put down that gun.
Stop him, Jerry.
Listen, Tony.
Now you listen, Mr. North. Listen to the noise a gun makes when it kills a rat.
Oh, what's going on here?
Get up, Hornswigger. You're just in time to see a man shot to death.
I didn't do it. I swear.
I know it. It's Snark who I'm giving it to.
Listen to reason, Tony.
Turn around and stand up against that wall.
Jerry, I can't bear it.
Tony, you're making a big mistake.
No, I'm not making a mistake. There's a bullet in Honey's chest. She's dead. And this is the gun that did it. And that's the rat who pulled the trigger.
Tony, I can't let an innocent man die. You say she was killed with that gun?
I was lying right next to her.
So I did it, Tony.
Jerry, you didn't.
I'm sorry, Pam. She was a devil. I couldn't get her out of my blood. I couldn't stand the thought of anyone else having her.
I don't believe a word of it. You're stalling to save this jerk's life.
Am I? Well, look in the magazine of the gun. You'll see 2 bullets still in there. I couldn't know that unless I handled the gun.
Well, I'll see you in a sec.
Get him, Eric.
Help, Mullins.
That's better. Thanks, Mullins.
Oh, Jerry. For a moment, I almost believed you.
Believe what, Mrs. North?
Jerry confessed. Oh, but he didn't do it.
Good for him.
Thanks, Mr. North. Tony's your murderer, Sergeant.
He's a madman, Sergeant. Hornswigger, so there you are, you little runt.
Oh, dear me, Sergeant, you must find it in your heart to forgive me for knocking you out. I was frightened. I acted on impulse.
Oh, Mullins, forget about him. Tony's your murderer.
No, I didn't do it. I tell you, Eric killed her, Sergeant. He tried to turn her into a blackmailer. Sure, I hated what Honey did, working here in this creek joint. I was taking care of her men friends in my own way. At least she was mine part of the time. But I wouldn't see her at all. She was in jail on a blackmail rap.
That's where she belongs.
I tell you, no, Sergeant. She wasn't interested in making dough that way. She really had the writing bug.
He's right, Mullins. Honey wouldn't have gone to all the trouble to see me if she weren't serious about getting a manuscript published. Eric is the real blackmailer. He killed her for the manuscript.
I tell you, I was only taking it to read. She was the blackmailer.
He's a liar, Sergeant. Blackmail never entered that dear sweet girl's head. He has the book in his possession, I'm sure. I was willing to pay $10,000 to keep it out of print. He wouldn't take it. He wanted $20,000. He hit me when I insisted. Oh, dear me, my head.
Oh, you kids got it figured out real smart, haven't you?
You got yourself the perfect patsy.
Well, you'll do until somebody better comes along. You're coming down to headquarters with me.
Oh, just a minute, Mullins. Mr. Hornswigger, you didn't approve of Honey's book, did you?
Well, of course I didn't, Mrs. North. It would have ruined me. I offered her money, but that didn't interest her. Recognition as a writer was much, much more important to her. I suspected, of course, that this snark fellow had a copy of the manuscript, and his motive was blackmail. So I was willing to pay him.
Well, that's clear to me.
Thank you, Mr. North.
Well, it's not clear to me. Mr. Hornswigger, when did you first learn that Honey was murdered?
Why, when you told me on the dance floor, don't you remember?
What are you driving at, Mrs. North?
Only this, Mullins. He was willing to pay me for the original manuscript of that book before I told him that Honey was dead. Oh, why should you do that, Mr. Hornswigger? Honey could still write another one. Mr. Hornswigger, you were interested in that manuscript because you knew that Honey couldn't write another one, because you knew that Honey was murdered before I told you. You killed her.
Oh, dear me. You realize what you're saying?
I think I do, Hornswigger.
Stay away from me, help!
Oh, stop him!
Talk, you
Help!
Let him go, Tony. Let him go. Now, Mr. Hornswigger, you're going to confess.
Yes, I did it. She wouldn't listen to reason. Hornswigger's an honored name in Connecticut. Our reputation would have been ruined. I had to kill her.
How are you feeling this morning, darling?
The usual.
I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in
Pam,
love.
I told you I was feeling the usual. Will you cut it out at least until I've had my first cup of coffee?
Oh, did you have a hard night at the office?
Yes, I worked a long hours.
Oh, poor dear. By the way, when I hung your suit up this morning, darling, I found these tickets in your pocket.
Tickets.
Yes, from the Rue de la Paix dance hall.
Oh, really? I wonder how they could have gotten there.
I'll give you just 2 seconds to think up a good excuse.
Well, as a matter of fact. Oh, now, Pam, really, I was going to tell you about it.
Uh-huh.
Mullins asked me to go up with him. He wanted to do a little investigation about the blackmail business, and I helped him.
Oh.
I mean, I really didn't enjoy it a minute of it, Pam. You know how those hot, stuffy dance halls. Oh, it's quite a chore, those dark lights hurting my eyes.
The adventures of Mr. and Mrs. North are brought to you through the facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Welcome back. I've heard of writers doing a lot to get published, but Honey's claiming to have an affair with Jerry to get Pam and him to come over was next level. If not for her unfortunate end, there are probably some writers' conferences where they'd consider having her spake. Once again, we get to hear Alice Frost's versatility in creating the dancer Cuddles. Well, the Hummerts were the ones who explicitly made it a stated regular element of the series with Mr. Chameleon. There are multiple shows where having a lead who is a very strong character actor means more instances than you might think of having them to pretend to be someone else entirely with a different voice and accent. I not only think of Mr. Chameleon, but the New Adventures of Sherlock Holmes with Basil Rathbone. They had Sherlock Holmes create characters a lot more than you would hear in the Tom Conway or John Stanley eras. Whether it's to keep the actor happy or it's just because it's another element for the creative team to know, we can ask for this, and the star will deliver, it does seem to be a tool that gets used. I'm glad Pam was able to make sense of that cacophony of accusations and counter-accusations at the end and resolve it. While she did just pick up a careless statement from the killer, this seems a bit more analytical than some of the other instances we've seen her use that technique to solve the case. On a sad note, this episode was only 10 days behind the Broadway's My Beat episode we played yesterday. It says something about the number of missing Mr. and Mrs. North episodes that when we first started playing this series, Broadway's My Beat was about 6.5 years ahead. And next week, the Mr. and Mrs. North episode will be after the Broadway's My Beat episode by a good bit. Just an incredible number of lost episodes in this series. On a bright note, we are going to be playing episodes of the Mr. and Mrs. North TV show with Richard Denning and Barbara Britton, starting this weekend on Public Domain Video Theater. So watch for that. Now, of course, available on Spotify, but also still available in the places it's always been over on Apple Podcast and on YouTube. Well, now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day, and I want to thank Jenny. Jenny's been one of our Patreon supporters since December 2023, currently supporting the podcast at the Detective Sergeant level of $7.14 or more per month. Thank you so much for your support, Jenny. And that will actually do it for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. If you're enjoying the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and mark the notification bell. All those great things that help YouTube channels to grow. We'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Mr. and Mrs. North, but join us back here tomorrow for yours truly, Johnny Dollar, where...
Jerry Dunsmuir.
Who's he?
A fashion photographer. A creep, Mr. Dollar.
Oh?
The real article, believe me. They ought to put that guy's eyes in jail.
You've modeled for him before.
About a year ago. I swore I'd never do it again, and I didn't. Until yesterday.
Yeah, well, go on.
Jerry'd gotten a commission to do a spread on winter fashion. He wanted to make some street shots with me in tweeds. Things like that.
Street shot.
Well, I figured the street would be a lot safer for me than his studio.
But it didn't turn out that way, huh?
No. After the second picture, he started in again with the same old line. And he's not very subtle, believe me.
So?
So I walked out on him. He didn't like it.
But is that enough reason for him to break into your apartment and slug you?
It wouldn't be for most people. But like I say,
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.